Alright, so the Nintendo Switch 2 presentation has come and gone, and with it, we have gotten a lot of information. And I'm going to be getting into some of those things here today, specifically my highlights and biggest takeaways from the Direct. So if I don't mention something that you liked from it, please don't take offense. But let's get right into it. So first, Mario Kart World looks amazing. And this one is definitely going to get me to buy it because of the fact that you can pretty much drive anywhere you want. And then of course, the fact that you can do stuff like wall jumping, grinding on walls and rails and stuff like that, that is not something I expected to see at all. Because going into this Direct, I was kind of curious about how they would make this Mario Kart stand out and have some kind of interesting gimmick or feature that's going to make it very distinct from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But those features I just mentioned, like grinding on rails, wall jumping, all that, they really make the game different. So before I go any deeper into the rest of my highlights and takeaways, I do want to talk about the specs of the system. So we have, of course, our Nintendo Switch 2 with a 1080p 7.9-inch screen with 120 hertz refresh rate. So essentially 120 frames per second on that screen. Then when it's docked, it can do up to 4K 60 frames per second. So this thing is going to be showing really good visuals, as I'm sure if you've already watched the Direct, you know. And then also it has HDR, so high dynamic range, which means things are going to look a lot more colorful, vibrant, and overall just look nice. And speaking of which, when I first tuned in to the live stream they were doing, I was really curious. So I went down to the settings of the stream to see the resolution, and I noticed it was playing in 4K. Mind you, this was before it even started, and I was like, okay, 4K confirmed. This is great. This is amazing. Also, during that stream, there was at least 1.4 million people watching it, and I think that broke the stream. For those of you who did watch the stream, you probably noticed it started hiccuping. There was like audio lag and stuff like that. Yeah, that's probably because of the 1.4 million people watching it. Yeah, people wanted to see the Nintendo Switch 2. Next thing I want to jump into is going to be GameShare. With GameShare, the way it's going to work is it'll be only for select games on both Nintendo Switch or Nintendo Switch 2, and as long as one person has a copy of a game, they can share that game with their friends either on the Switch 2 or the original Switch, depending on the game, of course. And what's also pretty wild is you can do GameShare online with other Switch 2s. And to go a bit deeper into some other features that we're going to be seeing on the Switch 2, the C button finally got an explanation, and we're going to be getting game chat and a few other chat-related features. Now, of course, built-in game chat is very, very welcome. I'm incredibly happy to see that. But they also added in some extra bells and whistles with being able to share your gameplay with your friends as you're playing with them, and then also being able to do video chat with the Nintendo Switch 2 camera, which is a separate accessory. And again, I did not expect to see those kinds of things dropped in there. And I know for a fact that I am going to be using the voice chat feature with the screen share every now and then. So something I noticed was that Nintendo is really leaning into this whole connectivity thing with friends and trying to make that a bigger part of the Switch ecosystem, which I really, really like. And then to kind of jump back to something I mentioned earlier with the Switch 2 camera, that is definitely going to be a very nice feature for a lot of people when it comes to communication and other kinds of things. And this is just my observation, and that's they're pulling a lot from what the Wii U used to be able to do. And of course, building upon it in a meaningful way. So just like in the Wii U, the Switch 2 has a built-in mic on the system, so you can do voice chat while you are playing your system handheld. And the way they built the mic is you can still use it while it's docked. You can use it while your Switch is docked, and it's able to pick up your voice even when you're far away, and it also has some noise cancellation features to help with any sort of background noise or ambience that's happening, which is really cool, and I'm glad they did something like that. And of course, Nintendo wants to keep things safe for anyone who is playing with voice chat and so on. So they integrated their parental controls with the game chat feature. Also, I really like that they're continuing with the Bowser and Bowser Jr. animations for the parental controls. It just really solidified for me that Bowser is a great father. And also, it showed me that Bowser Jr. is so hyper and has jackhammer thumbs. Look at this kid as he's playing games.
Please use the Nintendo Switch Parental Controls app to make sure that your child can enjoy game chat safely.
He is living the button mash lifestyle. Also, gotta talk about the launch date. So the Switch 2 is coming out on June 5th, and this pretty much falls in line with what I was thinking was going to happen. Originally, I was thinking maybe mid-June or so, but it being a little bit earlier than that is definitely welcome. As for the price, $449 USD for just the console. And the bundle with Mario Kart World is going to be $499, so essentially $450 and $500 respectively. And honestly, I'm not too surprised with the price points here, because a lot of people, myself included, were speculating that it would be around $400 to $450, and they pretty much priced it really close to that. So something that Nintendo went a little deeper on was the Nintendo Switch 2 editions of games. It was briefly mentioned in the fine print of the virtual game card info on the website, but now we have more information to work with. Of course, the Nintendo Switch 2 editions are going to be graphically improved, and there will be performance updates as well, but they're also going to have gameplay changes to them, meaning you'll have stuff like mouse control in some of these games and even added content. So from what it's looking like, the Nintendo Switch 2 editions of games are going to be worth it. Potentially. That all depends on how much those upgrades are going to cost, because yes, they do cost you some money to get those upgrades. This goes for Nintendo games and third-party games. And of course, what they add into these games is going to need to be valuable enough for people to want to upgrade. Just doing visual and performance upgrades, in my opinion, isn't going to cut it. So they're going to need to add a few more things in there as well. So what they showed off with the Switch 2 edition of Mario Party Jamboree and Kirby and the Forgotten Land should honestly be what they do with a lot of these Nintendo Switch 2 editions of these games. Also, keep in mind that you're only going to be purchasing these upgrade packs if you have the Nintendo Switch version of that game already. Also, it would be really weird of me not to mention how much third-party support was in this Direct. It was so much, in fact, that they had to do really short snippets of each game in order to fit all of it into this Direct. And then on top of that, they had to do it at 2 separate points in the Direct. Technically 3 if you also want to count the sizzle reel. If that's not a sign of Nintendo Switch 2 getting a whole bunch of third-party support, I do not know what is. We saw games like Elden Ring, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Street Fighter VI, Cyberpunk 2077, and that is most likely just scratching the surface. We're probably going to see even more stuff later down the line when we get future Nintendo Directs. The fact that so many third-party developers were prominently shown in this Direct has me feeling pretty good about the future of Nintendo Switch 2, specifically from a third-party perspective. I didn't see Monster Hunter Wilds yet, but I'm pretty sure that will be coming later on. So for the Nintendo Switch Online, it's getting GameCube games. Honestly, this was inevitable based off of the progression of systems they added to the online service, so it was just a matter of time until it happened. But it is very, very nice to see that it happened. And they made sure to show off some fan favorites with Wind Waker and F-Zero GX, and they also made mention that they upgraded the graphics for these GameCube games. So it's going to be nice to see these in action. I was also pretty hyped to see Soul Calibur 2 in there. That was one I loved playing when I was growing up, and I'm incredibly hyped to play that again. Then there's the GameCube controller that they'll be putting out, and I definitely want to pick that thing up. And the Nintendo GameCube games are going to be dropping on launch day for the Switch 2, so June 5th. And do keep in mind, this is going to be specifically for the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack members, not just the basic Nintendo Switch Online. Also, speaking of GameCube games, one of my favorites is getting a sequel with Kirby Airiders. Not gonna lie, I did shed a tear of nostalgia when I saw this pop up on screen, and it definitely looks like Masahiro Sakurai has been hard at work making it. For a while, I was hoping we would get a remake, a port, maybe a remaster of Kirby Air Ride from back on the GameCube, but this is honestly way better. And I'm glad to know that it's coming out this year. So rumors were circulating about this next game, and I am honestly very happy to see it. And that is the new 3D Donkey Kong game, Donkey Kong Bananza. I remember playing Donkey Kong back on the N64, but I only got to play a little bit of it at my cousin's house because I didn't have a save pack for my own N64. With the little that I did play of it, I really enjoyed it. And for this game, the visuals look stunning. It looks like it's going to be an epic experience and a lot of fun. So I am looking forward to this one. I am absolutely picking up Donkey Kong Bananza because I just want to dive deep into a 3D Donkey Kong game. And what's also crazy to think about is that we had the direct from today, and then for the next 2 days, April 3rd and April 4th, we're going to have Nintendo Treehouse Live happening, where they're going to be showing off the Nintendo Switch 2 and, of course, games for it. This is pretty much like E3 in April, and I am loving it. So I'm definitely going to be tuning in to see what sort of things they've got for us. Also, I don't want to forget to mention, let me know in the comments what you guys thought of today's Nintendo Switch 2 Direct and what games you were hyped to see. I'm DJ Raviesta. That's going to be it for me. The Rhinos are watching. Good night.